Good evening, everybody. I believe the time is now 6 o'clock. Just like to welcome everyone to the meeting of the North Whiteley Development Forum this evening. For those listening and watching, my name is Councillor Vivian Atchwell, and I'm the chair of the forum. The meeting's being held virtually in accordance with the council's rules for virtual meetings. Councillors are reminded that although this meeting is being held remotely, they're regarded as being present in a meeting of the council. They should observe the normal rules of behaviour. First of all, please can I ask that everyone present in the virtual meeting that your microphones remain muted and your cameras are turned off whilst you're not addressing the meeting, as this will reduce the background noise and avoid any unintentional disturbances. Can members ensure that their mobile phones are now switched off or on silent? Thank you very much. Please can I also advise that the open parts of the meeting are being recorded and live streamed from the council's YouTube channel and website, and these will also be available following the meeting. Members and officers, where appropriate for each item, please use the chat function or raise your hand to indicate that you wish to speak. Now, I will invite you to then speak at the appropriate time. Each member will be invited to speak in turn. Therefore, I would encourage all members to keep your contributions as clear and as concise as possible. Thank you. Please can I ask the Democratic Services Officer, Matthew, to now undertake a roll call of members of the committee to confirm who is present this evening. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. I'll do roll call. I'll do the Winchester City Councillors first, if that's okay. Councillor Atchwell is obviously here and present. Councillor Evans.
Present.
Councillor McLean.
Present.
Councillor Miller.
Present.
Councillor Pearson.
Present.
Councillor Small.
Present.
Moving on to the Hampshire County Councillors, Councillor Lumby.
Present.
Councillor Woodward.
Yes, I'm present and remaining very disappointed that I'm not with any of you. It's ridiculous.
Thank you. Chair, I've had apologies from Councillor Bull, and I believe Councillor Bull's been replaced by Councillor Martin this evening. Councillor Martin?
Yes, present.
Thank you. Councillor Pretty?
Present.
Councillor Evans?
Okay.
Is that Whiteley Town Council?
Please, Councillor Evans, yes.
Present.
Councillor Mercer? Okay, I'll come back to Councillor Mercer, Chair. And finally, okay. Councillor Bodger?
Present.
Thank you. So, Chair, that's all members of the forum present. Apologies from Councillor Bull being replaced by Councillor Martin, and I'll make some inquiries as to regards Councillor Mercer. Chair, just while I'm speaking, just to run down the officers that we've got with us tonight. I'm going to miss a couple here, but I'll do my best. From the City Council, we've got Dawn Adey, Strategic Director, Julie Pinnock, Service Lead Built Environment, Hilary Oliver, Implementation Officer. In terms of the specific agenda items, we've also got Karen Vincent, the Governance Manager. From Tetra Tech, we've got Jeff Davis. From Hampshire County Council, we've got Martin Shefford regarding the education item. Patrick Bingham from Hampshire County Council Transport Services, and Amanda Morris from the Hampshire County Council Travel Planning Team. I've also seen Ray Alborough join us, and I believe that's all. Apologies if I've missed anyone, Chair, but that's all I could see at the time.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthew. Councillor Miller, could I just ask if you put your camera off, please? Councillor Miller, can you hear me? Would you mind just putting your camera off? Thank you very much. Thank you.
My machine's showing it is off.
Oh, right. Okay. It is now. Right. Thank you. Members, as this is the we're going to agenda item number 3, appointment of vice chairman for the 2022-23 municipal year. As this is the first meeting of the forum for this year, it's necessary to appoint a new vice chair for the forum. Members should note that in the event of the chairperson being unable to attend a meeting, only a Winchester City Councillor member can chair a meeting of the forum. Can I now please ask for nominations for vice chair, please?
Yes, may I nominate Councillor Small, please? Anne Small.
Right, thank you.
Chair, Councillor Evans Therese Evans has got a hand raised.
Yes, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I was going to nominate Councillor Small as well, because she's a ward councillor, and I think it's very important for ward councillors to have some sort of say in this forum.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other nominations, please? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Anne Small, you're the vice chairman for the forthcoming year.
Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Chair, apologies. Could I just assume that was seconded by Councillor Evans? Was that just thank you?
Yes, I was happy to second. I didn't quite catch who proposed it, but
it was Councillor Bodger.
Oh right, yes, no, yes, seconded by me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, we have chairman's announcements. It's not really an announcement, but I'd just like to say I understand members are not too happy about these still being virtual meetings. The Cabinet have considered changing that, but we do have 3 other forum meetings, such as Kings Barton, west of Waterlooville and North Whiteley. They're also forum meetings. They're all held virtually. So we're going to continue with this at the moment. Some members of the public, I understand, they do feel slightly intimidated coming along to meetings in person. Sorry, I'm not going to take any questions on this. This is my statement. So unfortunately, we're not going to change it for this year. We will look at it in the future. Thank you. We're now going to go on to item number 5, public participation. We have 2 members of the public who wish to speak this evening. Firstly, we have Spencer Allen. Do you have Mr. Allen online?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Hi, Spencer.
I'm here again. I came along last time.
You did.
It very useful.
Good.
So,
would you like to ask a question, please?
There's a couple. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank Ray Alborough and others. It seems like all the manhole covers are fixed now. So I went on one about a couple of them. Now it looks like they've done all of the road down Bluebell, so that's good. So it's a bit of bliss has been restored. But unfortunately, there's some other issues.
Okay.
I come back to my issue from last time. It's the issue of speeding. There's too many people going down there speeding. I say it again. There's a hill there, a nice long stretch of road. There's no traffic calming. So I don't expect the council to do anything about people with bad exhaust pipes from the motorbikes when they've taken the mufflers out. But it can be any time of the day and any time of the night. People go down there. I've got a motorcycle license, so I know how fast these things go. The some guy goes down at 70. I swear it's 70 because bikes can get up to speed quickly and stop very quickly. So I think, in my mind, it needs something doing about it at some stage. If there are some plans down the line, that's fine. But it really is horrendous. You've got kids going to school. How would you feel walking down there with people speeding? There's 20 miles an hour down there, really. I know it's not very enforceable, but there's 30 down the hill. So I think, and it looks like Ray's going to chip in with something there. So hopefully it's positive. So that's my point, really, is speeding and excessive noise.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if any of the officers would like to say anything, or Ray.
Madam Chairman, yes, if I may.
Sure.
Yes, I think the situation is we do appreciate what Mr. Allen has said about speeding, And what's happened is that we are requiring the developer to provide another traffic calming feature. I call it beyond at the bottom of the hill on the rise up to the bridge, which I'm sure Mr. Allen will understand exactly where that is. And basically, negotiations are currently ongoing with that. But we would expect them to be building it once they've submitted a design that is acceptable to the County Council, and their drawings for that particular section of the road will clearly need to be amended, and that will be received with the amended design.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's good news.
Yep.
So I've got another point as well, which Ray knows about again.
Okay.
I'm a keen cyclist, and those cycle lanes and cycle paths are so poorly signed because I go all over the county. You know, I go to Southampton, I go to Portsmouth. Most signs are facing you saying it's a cycle lane and a footpath. There's no doubt if anybody who's a pedestrian says you should be on the path, you can say, hang about, these signs are saying it. On any of these paths up here, the signs only show where the crossings are, so you only see them edge on. So I know if you look at the other road off the Tesco's roundabout, they're more clearly marked. Those signs are facing you to say you're on a shared pedestrian and cycleway. I believe those signs are kind of like ridiculous. Everyone needs to be aware that, you know, what it is. Even some markings on the path I see in a lot of places. And also, it's never clear the extent of those cycle lanes, because when you get up to the top of Bluebell, I often go on the path that goes right into Tesco. There's nothing really to say that's a cycle lane or not. So is it or isn't it? So I think it's down to clarity. There are some signs at the top of the hill, comes onto like Maple Rise, etc., where it does say end of cycle lane, which are kind of almost obscured in some respects by the trees. But yeah, I just think that the signage is poor. I think all it would take would just flip those signs around 90 degrees, and then we'd be in no doubt as to, you know, that they are a shared pedestrian cycleway. So that's my point. I've never seen anything like that in anywhere I've been. They're all very clear. They've got markings on the actual lanes themselves, and they've got clear signage. This instance, I've never seen anything like it, and for me, it's, as a cyclist, not really acceptable.
I believe the cycle lanes aren't quite finished yet, but maybe one of the officers can
maybe
explain a bit more.
Look at Ray's got his hand up again, so we could be good to go.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. I think, Mr. Allen, I thought that we did discuss this when I came to visit you following the last meeting. But having said that, the signage that has been provided is in accordance with the national guidance, being the traffic signs regulations and general direction. Now, I think what's clearly happened is that over the years, that document has been updated, and it is now just a requirement to sign the fact that the route is a shared footpath cycleway when people join it, which is why the signs that you see are end on as you cycle along it. But you should appreciate that you join the footpath cycleway when you come onto it by the existing signage that's there on site at the moment. That's not to say that additional ones can't be provided, but it's something the County Council cannot require because the scheme as designed is in accordance with the national guidance. It's something that perhaps I can raise with the consortium and Mr. Davis of Tetra Tech, maybe separate from this meeting, and get back to you separately.
Okay, thank you very much, Ray. Thanks, Mr. Spencer, for your questions. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting.
I will listen. Thanks for responding on those couple of points. I've got a lot of faith in Ray, so
that's great.
Eyebrows I have, so that's good news. So thanks for listening.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, before we proceed, could you enable the chat, please? It seems to be
Matthew.
Off in settings.
That'd be Matthew to do.
Thank you.
Are you able to do that, Matthew, please?
I'll just get on to that now, Chair. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime, do we have Councillor Hazel Croft Phillips here, please?
Chair, I was just looking down the attendees list, and I've emailed Councillor Croft Phillips just while Mr. Spencer was talking, because no, I can't see that she's joined as yet.
Oh, okay, maybe she's not being able to join. she might be able to join a bit later on, so we'll come back to that later.
Yeah, and if not, I can always circulate a question around to members following the meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. I believe we've also received a further question from a resident from Time Avenue regarding various vehicles parking at the beginning of the newly opened part of Whiteley Way after the roundabout next to Tesco's. I'd ask the officers for a brief summary of this, please. Officers, over to you.
Hi, it's Hilary.
Evening.
So, summary of what she's asking is what future preventative measures are being proposed or put in place and when to prevent vehicles parking at the beginning of the newly opened part of Whiteley Way after the roundabout next to Tesco's, which leads into the new development being built by Taylor Wimpey. I've seen a consistent increase over the last few months where shop and restaurant staff and visitors to the centre leaving their cars there for the full day and to the point where they're now making parking unsafe on both sides of the road, which I assume is a real danger in the making. That's the question she's asked.
So do we have an answer by any chance?
I think either Jeff or Ray.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I'm happy to come back in on this one again.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Thank you.
At the present time, because the road is a private road, it is the responsibility of the consortium to deal with this. And I could end my answer there, but that's not the way I would like the answer to finish. So what I had suggested is that because there are a number of other areas within the North Whiteley development that will need to be the subject of a traffic regulation order, and I'm thinking of things like trying to discourage parents from parking very close to the schools. I think we're all aware of what happens at the Cornerstone School at the present time and the measures that have had to be taken to discourage this. Well, these measures are clearly just temporary there. But at the end of the day, a traffic regulation order restricting parking, and it may be that there are other areas as well. So what we need to do is have a list of all of these areas of concern and introduce a traffic regulation order at some stage in the future that can be agreed between the County Council and indeed the City Council. I say that simply because, as I'm sure everybody on this call is aware, the County Council is the highway authority, but because these are private roads, we don't do them. In terms of we're not responsible for them. But what we can do is put a traffic regulation order on. The only problem is that we, as the County Council, are not able to enforce the restriction until such time as the road is adopted. That's a choice that the County Council has made. So we can discourage the parking of vehicles on this section of road and others with a traffic regulation order that we're more than willing to do. But obviously there will be a fee that the consortium will have to pay for the process, the advertising and the provision of the lining on the road.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Councillor Evans, have you got your hand up for this question?
Chair, thanks. It really concerns Bluebell Way, which, while Ray is there, Chair, I've had a number of residents send me some photographs, which I'm quite happy to pass on to Matthew, to pass on to Ray, saying that they're very concerned, you know, that it's a dangerous section of the road. Shortly going down the hill, the last turn there, Silver Birch Junction, people coming out of Silver Birch Junction have had a few near misses because cars are all parked down the left-hand side of the road there, and they cannot see traffic coming the other way. And I think it's something that maybe could be looked at. And as I said, I'll pass the photographs on to Matthew, who can forward them to Ray.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's an accident waiting to happen there. It is a blind spot.
There's been 3 or 4 near misses, they tell me, so they are certainly concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, Ray. Anyone else? Anyone else want to? Sorry. Anybody else want to raise any points on that? Eric. Councillor Bodger, sorry. Councillor Bodger, you got your hand up.
Yes. I'm sorry. What? I don't recall putting my hand up.
Oh, sorry. CE. Sorry, who's that?
It's Councillor Evans, Chair.
Sorry, Councillor Evans. No,
sorry, Chair. I think it's flicking up and down.
Oh, sorry. No problem.
Is it down now?
No, it's up now.
Right, hang on. There you are. It's down now. Sorry.
That's it. That's all right. Okay, thank you very much. Going on to item number 6. That's minutes of the last meeting. Can the previous minutes of the meeting be signed as the correct record?
Agreed.
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 Someone's got their hand up. Sorry, I can't see what's happening here. Just let me see.
It's gone down again, Chair. This hand.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you. All right, thank you, members. We're now on item number 7, governance review. There's going to be a verbal update. Can I hand over to Karen Vincent, please? The governance.
Yes. May I interrupt a second? It's
of course.
Order.
Yes.
Why have we now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verbal updates when I understood it was agreed that there wouldn't be any verbal updates, they'd all be put in writing, so members of the public and councillors can have a chance to read through and then be more available for asking questions. Is there a reason for this?
I'm afraid I'm chairing this after quite some time. Maybe someone can update me.
Well, that won't cover today. I mean, I'd like at least about today's comments. Is Julie going to make a comment?
Chairman, that's apologies, Councillor Pearson. That is the first I've heard of that today. I think you're right in terms of the implementation officer's report, and we've always said for North Whiteley we wouldn't give a verbal report, and Hillary's obviously got a report today. But some of the guest sort of presenters that are joining us today, I think sometimes it's difficult for us to ask them to front load that with a report. And Karen Vincent, who is due to give a governance update, is just giving you a verbal update. There's been some reports gone to other meetings. So I think there's certainly something we can take away, Chair, and discuss, can't we? But sometimes it is difficult with some of our sort of, the people we've invited as guest presenters today. So, but I take that point away, Chair, with you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I accept that comment. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Karen, would you like to give a verbal update, please, regarding the governance review?
Chairman, I've just been discussing with Matthew sort of separately on email, because we don't think Karen has joined us in the meeting.
Right.
So I wonder if we are expecting her to join us. So okay. I wonder if, with your permission, whether we would move on through the papers until she does.
Yes, absolutely. No problem at all.
Thank you, Chair.
So item number 8, that's hopefully we've got Martin Shefford online, which is from Hampshire County Council Education Services, for an update.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Yes, hi Martin.
Hi. There's just a very quick update in terms of where we are with education and what we're looking at going forward. In terms of the primary numbers that we're seeing coming off of existing Whiteley and North Whiteley, on offer day, we had 118 pupils that were offered a place either at Whiteley Primary School or at Cornerstone. That has now increased with late applications, and we've now made offers to 130 pupils. So this sort of shows that the provision of Cornerstone Primary School when we actually built it was pretty much bang on, because up until now we could have probably have just dealt with the 30 at Cornerstone, the 90 places at Whiteley in each of the year groups. This naturally shows now we need these more than the 120 that we had. So going forward now, we would just anticipate that these numbers now would just start to continue rising until such time that the schools, well, both schools are likely to be full. In terms of the secondary provision, We're looking at the potential for the secondary school being available for September 2027, and that's on the basis of the land actually doesn't become available to Hampshire County Council until 1,100 houses have been occupied. In terms of where that occupancy was, we were expecting that to be probably in about July, August time next year. And as somebody's already said on this forum meeting, the houses actually are being built quite quickly, and potentially we will have 1,100 houses built by the end of this calendar year, by sort of December time or perhaps January next year. That will allow the county to take that site and therefore continue with everything that then needs to happen in terms of the planning permission that's required, etc., getting a contractor on board so that we can make sure that we've got that school up and running for 2027. It's going to take a good 2 years to have this school built.
Okay.
The Cornerstone one, if people would have seen that go up, that one took about 15 months or so in total. Because we're talking about a much larger beast in terms of the secondary school, it will take something in the region of about 2 years to complete. So we need to make sure that we start at the very latest in June 25. But all of this is really making sure that we have got the numbers of children coming off of that development to make the school viable. Because of the way in which the funding comes into schools, i.e. it's the pupil numbers that drive what these schools get, we probably need to have 120 to 150 pupils in each cohort as a minimum going in. And obviously when you start a school and you start growing it, then you always have that issue in terms of how they are going to fund and be able to afford to run that school in the early stages. I noticed there's a couple of people with hands up.
Yep, thanks, Martin. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of questions for Martin, and thank you for bringing us up to date, Martin. First one regards the primary school. You've mentioned obviously how many are going in there. What about the other year groups? Because I know there have been concerns, quite significant concerns, about children still being sent away to other schools rather than getting into Cornerstone. So I wonder if we could have a feeling for what the September look of Cornerstone is going to be, because clearly Whiteley Primary, we know, is, I'm sure most everything will be full through all the year groups. Yep. What will Cornerstone look like this September?
Cornerstone look like they're going to be full at 30s in years 1 to 6, and they're going to have about 40, and that may rise, Councillor Woodward, depending on any more pupils coming off of those developments as those houses are built.
So I'm assuming year R is bigger than 30 then?
It will be 40 in coming September, yeah. So
year R is 40. So what's happening then in terms of the children who are still being sent away elsewhere that would like to get into Cornerstone?
This is very much about where there are other places elsewhere within the development, because those schools would already have been funded to provide those classes, full classes. So this always happens when you have a new school. This goes back to basically, if we open the door to everybody very quickly, because they're bright new shiny schools, potentially it would empty other schools in the area. And we don't want to do that. So we want to work with the schools to make sure that we fill these schools from the pupils coming with that development as best we can, but having regard for those schools that have still got surplus places available to make sure that they don't suffer from not being full.
So sorry to labour the point, Chairman, if I may, but if the school is being built clearly by development funding, which one would reasonably say is being paid for by the people who are buying the houses in the north, in the development north of Whiteley, and yet they're not able to get into the school there, potentially. You know, somebody moves in with a 10-year-old, and you've got a class of 30, you know, and there's a few extra 10-year-olds around, they're not going to get into the school, which does seem a bit unfair.
But I think where you're looking at, I'm not going to labour the point, Councillor, but if it's a 10-year-old, You haven't got the infant class size at 30 legislation. So at the junior end, if Cornerstone wish to accept more than 30 in each of those classes, they can do so. We're a bit more stuck in the infant end when you've got the infant class size of 30 legislation, so that if you get to your 31st or your 32nd child, actually having to open up a new classroom and you've only got funding for 2 additional children becomes a real strain on the finances for that school. So we're very aware of what's happening in terms of the finances for each of these schools as well as they go forward.
Okay, and last question, if I may, Chairman, on secondary.
Yes.
Yep. It sounds, Martin, through you, Chairman, as if you've got lots and lots of time, spare years, in fact, to get on and get this school built, from what you're saying about when the county council will get the land compared with when the school will open, and a 2-year build project. Presumably, though, you could be cracking on with planning applications now rather than waiting until the land is in the hands of Hampshire County Council.
The difficulty we've got is that if those numbers of children don't turn up, well, I don't want to be in a position of paying a load of architects' fees to design and build a school that we then apply for planning, and then we don't end up building it for a little while. What I would much prefer is to be in a position where everything comes into a proper timescale, so that planning is applied for at the appropriate time, and therefore straight after that is granted, then we can get on with getting the contractor on board. So we'll probably look to achieve planning in about January 2025, start on site in about June 25, have it built for June 27. Now those things may change, because if we don't see those numbers of children coming off of that development, that may slip, and we've got to be very careful that we don't put a strain on the school, the academy trust potentially that will be running this school, that they find that they actually can't deliver the curriculum which will actually do the children living in North Whiteley no favours whatsoever.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Martin. Councillor Pearson, you were next.
Thank you, Chair. Martin, I must admit I'm a bit disappointed about the date of start, but I fully recognise the reasons. I'm a past teacher myself, so I've been in the game for a long time, 40 years actually, working for Hampshire. But what I'm concerned about is a reflection actually of what the weather is like today, and climate experts predicting more of sessions like this. Now, so far we're building schools that are insulated, etc., which great for cold weather. But what about hot weather? Now, at present, we're closing schools because of the heat. My own school, back in '76, when we had temperatures like this before, this is Thorndon and Charles Ford, the chemistry labs were on the top floor, big windows, massive heating. We have the chemicals boiling off, and it made it dangerous. Fortunately, no fire. So can you assure us in your modern designs you're going to take not just cold weather and, of course, rainfall into account, but also the heat, which it has been predicted since, well, Stern report was 2001. And what was predicted in that report actually is proven to be correct. So are we taking that into account?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor
Pearson. Yes, we are. We apply a fabric first approach to new schools, i.e. we build it to make sure that we have got, say, stuff like brise soleil to stop the solar gain into classrooms, look at a high thermal insulated building so that during the day it absorbs the heat, during the evening it expels the heat back into the air. Because what we have found is if we go for something like having to have air conditioning, that sort of thing, the cost of running that air conditioning for the school, and again, it will be the school that will be picking this up, is actually very high. So we try to make sure that the schools we are now building, as I said, with this fabric first approach, allows the cooling to happen, but without having to do that with some sort of mechanical ventilation.
Does my follow-up, Martin? If we have solar panels on the roof, which I presume you're thinking about, which is something that Hampshire is already thinking about with the present schools, surely you're generating your own power to power the air conditioning, if that's the solution you're going to go for. But I'm thinking of the sort of solutions that buildings in the south of France go for, where you've got overhanging eaves, not such large windows, which allow for insulation, reduce the angles. I'm also thinking of the Brighton Library, where they use a system of louvres. Now, Brighton Library was built several years ago, and they actually use for heating during the winter body heat from the people actually in the building. But to stop insulation, they use these louvres that are at an angle, something like that, which take into account the sun, particularly when it's high up or in the afternoon, which of course is when we get maximum heating. Now, these are not expensive solutions. Are you taking this? Are your architects taking this on board? I mean, as I say, I've got experience of working in school buildings. Some of them are pretty sore ones.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Councillor Pearson, and yes, we do. So the term I used earlier on was the brise soleil. So basically, it's a solar overhang across the windows to stop this coming in. So we look at this in terms of, so during the summer when the sun is high, they are angled at such a position that actually it stops the sun hitting the glass. During the winter when the sun is a bit lower, it gives more natural light into the classrooms, and actually it gives a bit more heat from any heat that may be in the sun at that point in time. So yes, it is something that the guys in property services are well aware of, and it's something that we do take very seriously. And if you look at somewhere like Cornerstone Primary School and have a look at the outside classrooms there, they've all got about a 2-3 metre overhang out of every classroom. Again, that's just to make sure, one, we can get the children out there, particularly Year R, who still have play as part of their national curriculum, and two, actually to stop the solar game.
Well, that is great news for not just the adults, but also for the children who've got to use these buildings.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks so much for it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Pearson. Next, we have Councillor Lumby, please.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Martin, for the presentation and the words verbal update. Really good. 3 questions, but they're all quick, fortunately. Okay. The first one is, in deciding when to bring forward the building of the secondary, actually also of the second primary. That's hard to say, isn't it? Do you not look not only at levels of occupation locally, but also actually occupancy levels in schools in the area? Because we know that some schools are already rather groaning and full. So do you take that into account, or is that something that you merely look at the local occupiers?
No, we look across the board, to be honest, Councillor Lumby, and we don't just look at which schools are groaning at the moment, as you put it, at the seams with the number of children, but actually where are those children coming from? And are they catchment children for that particular school, or are they coming from elsewhere? So we end up with a sort of a pushback scenario that if these people don't get into this school because they belong in this school, then we don't need to provide the school as quickly as we need to. So it's not just what's happening on North Whiteley. It will also be what's happening in Salisbury. It'll also be talking about what will be happening in Swanmore, Fareham. I mean, a whole host of places and schools that we would look at just to make sure that we're getting this hit there at the right time.
Okay, thank you. Now that's very useful. That was question 1. That was probably the most complicated. The next 2 are much quicker, hopefully. The second question is about Cornerstone. When it was built, there were some gates put on the, what I'm going to say for the sake of argument, the Tesco side, adjoining the track that will lead up to Botley. And that would actually be a very good way for people to enter the school without having to go around the top, which is more dangerous. Are the plans to open those gates and allow access and egress through them.
Is this, sorry, Councillor Lambert, is this the pathway, the footpath that runs up alongside the school?
That's the one.
Yeah. This
Wrong
is at the
person?
moment-
Sorry.
At the moment, we are having discussions with the developers about this and the timing of this. We had hoped that that would all been in place actually by the time Cornerstone opened last September.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not something that's within the gift, certainly not of the Education Authority, to ensure that's there. So the gate is already there. So if you can get up there, the gate is there. So as soon as that footpath is able to be opened up, then yes, I mean we will want to spread the load, because Cornerstone, with a 630 place capacity, we don't want them all crashing through the front door and blocking up that end of the road just as you come around the corner. So if we and there's also another entrance at the far end by the playing field that they can come in. So we're trying to make the site as permeable as possible, but we need other people to actually provide some of that infrastructure to get to the gates.
So that's something that you would support, pressure on the developer to encourage them to bring
We
forward.
have been having discussions with the developer for some little while about this one.
I'm fantastic to hear it, and hopefully they will take it on board. Okay, fine. Now that was the two very easy last question. The old site, the vacated site. Any update on plans for that?
Well, originally it was looking at the potential for housing in the area. We have looked at whether or not that could be used for other purposes, since it was already a sort of an education site. But that has got an awful lot of legs to spread out to begin with, simply because that we have got to seek also to maximise any receipts that we can get from any of the sites that we've got. So we're in discussions with other parts of the county council about what this could be used for, if anything.
Okay, thank you. I mean, there are concerns on that site about, firstly, construction traffic, and secondly, the roads being able to take a massive wodge of further housing there. So there are worries which may of itself actually limit the amount of residential, which in its turn might actually make other options more viable. So that's really interesting.
Yeah,
thank you for that. Thank you, Martin. That was wonderful. Thank you. And thank you, Chair. Those are my points.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lumbie. I have two more people left. So we've got Councillor McLean and Councillor Bodger. Can we have Councillor McLean next? Sorry, Councillor Bodger. I'm just doing the order I have. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Chair. I've been listening very carefully, and the one thing that slightly concerns me, I'd love to have my mind put to rest on it, is the start date. The houses are being built, the people are moving into the area. If we take Whiteley on its own, there are going to be an awful lot of kids of that age wanting schools. But we've also got development to the south of Wickham. We've got loads of houses going in there. Continuous developments in Wickham, Bishop's Waltham, Swanmore, the feed-in school. So there is going to be, I think, an awful lot of, or there are going to be an awful lot of kids wanting to go to school of that age group. And if it's not started early enough, you end up overloading the schools, not underloading them. So can you just tell me what research has been done to prove that your start date is the right start date? Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
In terms of how we assess the occupations for children coming into schools, when it is completely built out, we would expect about 210 secondary age pupils for every 1,000 houses that are going to be built. But those secondary age children do not materialise as early as the primary age children. It's something that we have seen over many parts of the county, that secondary age children don't turn up in the same number. So if you would assume that for every 100 houses that get built in Whiteley, we would anticipate 30 primary age children. That's across all 7 year groups, so about 4 per year group. Similarly, we would expect 21 children for secondary age once it's all built, but they don't all move. For whatever reason, there's this delay of about 5 or 6 years before we see significant numbers of secondary age pupils coming into new housing developments. So in terms of what would happen potentially, and I'll sort of try and do this in order, you talk very much about Swanmore and all the housing that's happening at Bishop's Walton, that sort of thing. 1,250 houses, I think there are in total. At the moment, they take about 1.5 forms of entry. So about 45 to 50 children per year group from the existing Whiteley. So that 1,250 houses will, in effect, once North Whiteley open, we would anticipate, and we can't make, we can't say this for certain because this will still be down to parental preference, but we'd anticipate that most parents that live on Whiteley and North Whiteley would want to send the child to the North Whiteley Secondary School. In essence, that means there's 45 places per year group for children to refill at Swanmore from the housing development that's being proposed in that area. In terms of other parts around Wickham and places like that, they would actually be much closer to Wellbourne, and potentially they would be looking to send children into the new schools proposed for the big Wellbourne development, rather than looking at sending these children into any of the schools within the Winchester area. So, as I said earlier, we look at this in a lot of detail, and we angst over this for hours about the timing of all of this, but we just need to make sure that we have got the right number of children available to go into the new school to make that new school viable.
Okay, thank you, Martin.
Thank you. So that says that you're looking at the age group there now before the people have even moved in and planning ahead from that point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Eric, sorry, just before I ask you to ask a question, Martin, while I just have this in my mind. So when we were deciding on the current Whiteley School, not the Cornerstone, the other one, the pupil numbers there increased really quickly. And we really struggled then. Obviously, we had the temporary building.
Okay.
So are you really confident we're going to get the numbers right this time? We don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, we're pretty confident this time, Councillor Maxwell, on the basis of we have got the ability to take 90 children per year group into Cornerstone. So here we are, okay. Almost probably getting on for 1,000 houses pretty much completed on existing development. We're only seeing about 40 children in the year R age group that are looking for a place in there. So we're pretty confident that not only we've got that, but we've also got right the timing of the new primary school, and that means that at 1,700 dwellings occupied, the site becomes available to the county council for us to provide the new other primary school in the northern end.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Martin. Councillor Bodger, sorry, kept you waiting.
No problem. 3 small points. One of them is you don't have to go as far as Brighton to see the way to control the temperature. The library at the University of Winchester does it, and I believe that was designed by a Winchester architect. The other one is, I guess you've got a model based on history of new developments in the whole of the county, which will let you model the occupancy of the secondary school. Clearly, people don't tend to move when they've got children at secondary school if they can avoid it. So you would expect them to be moving during the primary years and then graduating into secondary. So your description makes complete sense. The other thing I was rather sad about was that this is going to be run as an academy school. If Hampshire County Council ran it, not only would you have control over it and be able to take the risk on under occupancy, but you would probably run it better. There is unfortunately a law that says once an academy, always an academy. So however badly it performs, Hampshire won't be able to get it back. It would surely be better for Hampshire to run it and only convert to an academy if you couldn't make it a success.
If only it was that easy. And unfortunately, we're in a position now where every school that is built is a free school, which is an academy by any other name. And therefore, when we build schools, we collect the money from the developer, potentially we build the school, and then we have got to go out and seek a sponsor as a multi-academy trust or a single trust site to run that school. Only if that is not able to be achieved are we then allowed by government to look to run that school as a community school, as we always did through Hampshire. Now, unfortunately, that is now out of our hands. And I'm sort of, I'll be talking out of turn here, but I'm with you. I mean, if this could be a Hampshire school, then I think it would make an awful lot of sense. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, understood. Thanks very much for the comment.
Thanks for that clarification, Martin. Members, do we have any more questions for Martin at all? Thanks very much for the update, Martin.
Are you okay,
you're welcome
Councillor, if I can leave now?
Of course, you're welcome to stay if you wish.
In which case, then, I will take your leave, and thank you very much for the invite.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll now carry on to, I believe that Tim Clark, head teacher of Cornerstone, had provided a written update with Hilary. Hilary, are you able to give an update on this?
Hi, yes. Tim really wanted to address a forum after their first year at Cornerstones, but was unable to. So he's asked me to read out a statement on his behalf, which I will do.
Thank you.
The children, staff and families have enjoyed settling in successfully to our new home on Bluebell Way. There have been a number of events during the course of the year, and we've received many visitors keen to learn how the school building and site work well. It has also been an exciting year for the school, with successes including accredited as a Microsoft Showcase school, one of only 9 primary schools to achieve this in the UK, and coming 3rd place in the grand final of Dance Live. We are appreciative of the support of the local community, the building consortium, local councils and the county council in ensuring a smooth transition and a successful first year. In particular, our thanks go to Tim Burgess, Fiona Burrows and Nick Yarrow for their outstanding work in designing the building and helping oversee its construction and the, as expected, snagging list. We would also like to thank Ash Spooner from the consortium for being very supportive and responsive re the roads and parking. At our previous site, the maximum number of children attending Cornerstones was 190. We currently have 230 and are predicted to have 255 plus from September 2022. So we're excited that we continue to grow. The main issues that families raise with us, which are likely to only increase as we grow, are 1, the pedestrian pathway outside our south boundary that will link to houses in that area and in the north section of North Whiteley has not yet been started. Currently, therefore, all families are having to access through our main gate, and at least one family who don't have a car are having to walk daily down the Botley Road. That the lack of road markings, school signage in the immediate vicinity of the school leads to some vehicles driving quickly and dangerously when driving past the school. However, overall, we are very happy with our first year at our Bluebell Way site and appreciative of everyone's support and interest. Thank you.
Thanks, Hilary. I don't know if we're going to address those 2 points that Mrs. Clark's raised, or can we follow those up later?
Yeah, well, I think Jeff might be able to cover the footpath, I think, in his presentation.
Yeah.
The road markings, yeah, maybe we can pick up with Hampshire Highways and the consortium as to whether there's anything more we can do around that area.
Right, okay, we'll do that later. Thank you. We now go on to item number 9. Going to hand over to Patrick Binham, the Transport Team Leader at Hampshire County Council, for a verbal update. Patrick, are you there?
I am. I can't enable my camera at the moment, Chair, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Oh, there we go. It's working now.
Brilliant.
Hi all.
Hi,
thanks,
Patrick.
Chair. And thanks for inviting me along. So by way of an update on the works progress at M27 Junction 9 and Parkway Roundabout, I'm pleased to say that works are progressing well. The majority of the major risks I now think have been addressed. and we have a forecast completion for the scheme in late September. There is an opening event being planned at the Sonnet Hotel for late September, and invites to that event will be issued shortly. So that's the celebration event. The current works that we've got underway are resurfacing works on Parkway Roundabout at Junction 9. So there's a lot of activity currently to get those completed, and unfortunately is fairly disruptive. It requires overnight closures. And as you'll be aware, there's been some, or you may be aware, there's been some comms issued on that. So there'll be, it's the details of it are on our webpage, our scheme webpage. So I'd encourage you to go there and see what the specifics are in terms of the dates and the times for each of the closures and the details of those. But essentially, over the next 5 weeks, the public should expect some disruption at Parkway Roundabout and Junction 9 with closures and resurfacing taking place. There are diversions in place, signed diversions. They're diversions that we've used previously that have worked well. So we're not expecting significant disruption because of this, and the time of day as well, the time of night will assist that as well, I'm sure. There's also VRS replacement going on currently, which is the vehicle restraint system on Whiteley Way. That runs down the centre of Whiteley Way, and we've got drainage works underway on Whiteley Way as well. We've got a couple of key remaining activities that we're trying to get programmed at the moment. One of them is the parapet works at Junction 9, and we're awaiting National Highways approval for those works. We require a permission from them in order to go and undertake that work. And that's currently programmed for September, is pending that approval. And related to that, we have a Southern Footway tie-in that we're working to progress along Sedgensworth Link to complete the connection of the footway and cycle facilities south of M27 Junction 9 to Sedgensworth Roundabout. Tree planting is also being progressed, not physically, but the arrangements for it. And our arboricultural team are liaising currently with North Whiteley Town Council on mitigation planting on North Whiteley Town Council land, and that I believe is expected to come forward during the autumn. I think that's the key points that I wanted to discuss with you today and bring to your awareness, and happily take any questions that anyone has on the scheme.
Okay, just before I let the other members ask, can I just ask, is the scheme ahead of itself or behind the junction for the new roundabout?
We've got an advertised completion, so we've been working to a completion date of summer this year, and at the moment planned completion is the end of September. So our site manager was telling me today that he'd had a look on Google, and the British summer officially ends on the 23rd of September. So whilst I said that was probably getting slightly too technical for the travelling public, I think that it's fair to say that we're there or thereabouts in terms of time.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you to Patrick for that update. It really has been an awful few years for those of us that live in Whiteley and have to use that junction on a daily basis. And Patrick will be aware I've made many reports to his colleagues over how those roadworks have progressed and issues, potholes, lack of lane markings, etc. I can bring just one to his attention before I ask my question. On the roundabout nearest the Solent Hotel, there are no lane markings and junction markings anymore at all. So if you're going around a roundabout, you're going to be confronted with the traffic coming down Whiteley Way, sailing into the side of you if you don't happen to watch where you're going. Sadly, some people don't. I realise it's all a moving feast, but I do think we need to have the bucket of white paint out every night when something changes, even if we burn it off a week later. But there is no marking of any description to suggest anybody should give way, however they're heading at that roundabout and however they're travelling around the roundabout. But my question, having made that point, the rest of the scheme continuing all the way down to the district centre the dual carriageway, etc., which is clearly being worked upon at the moment. When is that due for completion?
That's the development element of the works, Councillor, presumably that you're referring to.
I'm talking about everything from the Servant Hotel heading on down towards Tesco's, which is supposed to become dual carriageway.
So that's not part of this scheme, and so I'd have to defer to my development colleagues to establish when that's due to come forward. I don't have the dates on that to hand. I know that they were endeavouring to programme those to follow shortly after this section of works, but it's a developer-led activity rather than a county council-led activity. That's just, I don't have the detail on that. My apologies. I can get that for you.
Okay, but cones are cones, whoever's cones they are, and the cones are in for the dual carriageway section. There's a lot of work going on down there. So I think to most people's perception, it's road works. It'd be good to know when the other lot are going to finish as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll liaise with colleagues to the developer colleagues to get that information for you, Councillor.
Okay.
I just confirm also, sorry, Councillor, that you're referring to Parkway roundabout in terms of the absence of lane markings. Yeah, okay. I'll take that away and come back to you on that point separately, if that's okay. And accept the point there have been some challenges there, and we've been, I know the site team have been working hard with the contractor to try and ensure that the arrangements there, and they are slightly fluid, are as coherent as they can be. I accept that on occasion we've needed to intervene to get some improvement, and I'll follow up this one up and see where it's got to, and let you know what the outcome is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Councillor Lumby.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Patrick, for the update. This question is related to traffic rather than the M27, but I'm going to ask it now in case you're the person and have wisely slipped away to a cooler place before we get the right person. Some of the traffic lights at the end of the new Whiteley Way, where it connects with, it's Curdridge Lane there, isn't it? Seem to be a bit rogue at the moment. And I saw a video this morning which was absolutely terrifying of the lights change and a car moving forward, coming out of Whiteley Way, and literally a car just going straight through. Now, that may have been because it was just some frightful yobbo who was ignoring the lights. It may have been because the lights were out of phase. Who is the person that is responsible for that? And can we have that urgently reviewed?
I'll take that away and refer it to my traffic signal colleagues to ask them to review the operation of the junction. The situation you described sounds to me like someone's run through a red. You know, if it's green to one approach and they're conflicting approaches, the system and the technology doesn't allow both approaches to appear simultaneously. But that's not to say the head might be twisted or there's something there that's causing some ambiguity for drivers. And I'll ask colleagues to look into that and to provide you with an update, Councillor.
I've got the video, so if whoever wants to see it lets me know.
If I can just stop you there, I think Ray's got an answer for us. Ray, would you like to?
Ray always has the
come
answer.
I know Ray's been working on this.
Yeah, but basically the situation is there have been a number of incidents at that junction that's been brought to the County Council's attention, and we are looking at it very closely with the safety auditor. So that work is underway. Rob Nichols, my colleague in the Highway Development Agreements team, is the engineer responsible for it. And as Patrick has suggested, people from our traffic signals team also need to be involved, which they are, but the work is underway for the whole junction to be reviewed. What's been delaying it mainly is that there are just 2 or 3 minor bits of remedial work that need to be carried out by the contractor and on behalf of the developer at the northern part of North Whiteley, which is Mystery Homes. So, as I said, we are looking at it, but Councillor Lumby, if you want to share that video, I'll be very pleased to see it and share it with my appropriate colleagues.
I will send it to you now, Ray. Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. And sorry for hijacking
No.
Patrick's session.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you.
As long as we're getting the questions answered, that's good.
Perfect. Yeah, no, definitely that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you both very
Is-
much.
Anybody else have any other questions for Patrick? I have one more, Patrick, if you don't mind. I've been trying to figure out the cycle route that's coming down from junction 9 towards Liddell. Is that actually going up to Liddell, or is it just
It's
stopping?
being extended, yeah, on the northern side. I think it's the southern side of the road there as it turns around from Parkway roundabout towards Liddell. It's being extended along that section. That work should be taking place currently. So, yeah.
Okay.
That was an addition to the scheme. I'm sure that's now being progressed.
Right.
So there should be a coherent route.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thanks.
Okay. If there's no further questions, Chair, then I'll drop off the meeting if that's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Thank you.
Is everybody still there? It's gone very quiet.
I'm still here, Councillor McLean. I was just going to ask if Councillor Atchell was there.
He seems to have disappeared off the list.
Yeah.
Is there a vice
I
chairman?
can only see you, Matthew, nothing else.
I can see her name.
That means we can all go home.
Okay, so, I mean, she may have just lost connection for a second, and she'll be rejoining. But we were just about to move on, I think, to Amanda Morris, who's going to give us an update regarding the travel plan situation. Amanda, I don't know if you can, if we can just hold on for a couple of minutes, see if Councillor Atchell can rejoin.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
She has got a little logo showing as if she is in the meeting. It's obviously the downside of virtual meetings.
Yes, I can see a logo as well.
We could see the lovely Cornerstone School if we were meeting there.
Yeah, we couldn't we?
Another downside to virtual meetings.
Didn't we elect a vice chairman earlier?
Yeah, but they do stop me getting COVID, Sean.
So last year.
Before.
Would it make sense for the vice chair to take over until Vivian can get back?
Yes, but
she's still there, isn't she?
I am indeed. I am still here.
Councillor Small, are you okay? Just assuming the chair for a few moments.
Sure. I'm sure Vivian's trying to get back on. I don't know whose phone that is.
Mike Evans.
Oh, Mike, could you mute your microphone, please?
Have we made a decision? Shall I just take over until Vivian can join us again?
Yes, please,
yes,
Councillor
please, if that's
Small,
okay.
Yeah, so it was point 10, is that correct? The travel plan, a verbal update from Amanda Morris. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Amanda. Thank you. Hello. Oh, there she is. She's back.
I have got a couple of slides. It's not very many. It won't take very long. And Vivian's back as well, I can see.
Yep, sorry. We're both back.
Shall I just share my slides? It won't take very long, I don't think.
Yes, thanks, Amanda.
Can you see them?
Yep, I can see them.
Okay. Is it just the one you can see?
Yeah, just one at the moment.
Yeah, if I can see a few things on my
No,
screen.
actually,
okay.
if you could just apologies, if you could just share it as a slideshow, because we can see all of the left-hand bar at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Apologies, Chair.
That's fine.
Hampshire County Council will skip that one. I'm Amanda Morris. I'm a senior travel planner in the Hampshire Services travel planning team. My actually haven't got my contact details on there, but I can always, you've probably got them anyway. So we are quite a large team. That's just a few of us at one of the events we attended last year. When I started in the team, it was mainly school travel planners. There's many schools in Hampshire, and a lot of my colleagues work in the schools. We started to work in communities such as residential developments, and North Whiteley is one of those, and doing a bit more work with workplaces as well. Now, because it's quite a large team, we have quite a lot of different skills and expertise and experience. So people will be helping to prepare the travel surveys, do marketing, social media, attend events, liaise with schools and developers, and all of those things. We're also well versed in sort of initiatives that are happening around us, and we also work with Southampton City Councils and Portsmouth City Councils. I've put the Mo Shift and Act Travelwise membership on there because they are two key organisations that we can lean on for advice and training and activities and events. We also try and be aware as much as possible about additional funding streams if we could possibly use them. So anyway, with North Whiteley, what we've done today is this pictures on the left of the front page of the North Whiteley website, which is actually hosted on the My Journey pages. We're lucky that we can use the My Journey brand, and logo, which is quite well recognised now. There's a My Journey planner. It's very small on this screen, but when you go to the actual website, you will see there's a My Journey planner. And I did talk Councillor Evans through how to use it recently, so he's highly aware of that. We've produced a welcome pack for the new residents, which I've got. Hopefully you'll be able to see a bit of it in another screen. We're also working on our first e-newsletter. The template itself is set up, and we'll be working on the content, I think, later next week. So that will be able to go out, and there's a subscription link on this, the slides I can share with you afterwards. So people can actually sign up to receive the North Whiteley e-news. And then I've mentioned the travel map and guide, but I couldn't show it on that screen. But we worked on this a long time ago. So we've got the map here with the key, and this is the other side to the map, which it will be folded and go into the welcome pack. So it's something they can use as they go out and about. But as you can see, the 28 bus service, we haven't updated that bit yet because it hasn't officially extended into the site. So as soon as we've got that information, we will update it and check everything out on the thing to make sure everything on this is up to date. One of my colleagues, some of you will know her, Sarah Lees, is the school travel plan coordinator, and she is working alongside me, working with the schools in this area. So she's been doing a lot of work with Whiteley Primary, trying to help them to get to their bronze level Mode Shift Stars accreditation, which involves them doing a bit of activity. So as you can see, the junior road safety officers have been doing hands up surveys with the children and the staff to find out how they travel to school and how they would like to travel to school. And once they've done that piece of work, they can pull that together and create 2 targets to help them with their first application for bronze level accreditation. She's also been working in Cornerstone School. We're progressing their travel survey and draft travel plan, following the move to the new school site. That's going to be finalised soon, and that will help them to work towards Mode Shift Stars accreditation and an online travel plan, which is the way they accredit all the content and evidence goes online. So they can move from bronze to platinum eventually if they do really well. We've also been doing a bit of monitoring. Last June, we undertook the TRIC-SAM traffic survey. That graph there, now I'm having to peer at it myself, but the single occupancy vehicle percentage was 40.8%, which came out quite good actually, because I would have expected it to be higher than that. But multi-vehicle occupancy was 40.8% as well, so it's kind of half and half. But yes, it could have been much, much worse. So at the same time, we were hoping to do the residents' travel survey, but that did not happen at the time. So we are planning to do the first baseline travel survey in autumn this year. Councillor Evans had a look at that draft and raised some questions about medical appointments, which we are going to take forward and incorporate a specific question about that, because there are certain places locally where people would potentially be travelling to for their medical appointments, and that's important. We'll carry on using that question, but adapted for future travel surveys with our residential developments. And I've already mentioned that Sarah's been working with the schools, so she's closely involved with them and helping them with their travel plan surveys. And ultimately, what we want to do is realign the traffic and travel surveys so they take place at the same time. So future, well, there are development-specific measures. Car club vehicles in the north and south of the development, there's already, general locations identified. There's £100 residents travel incentive, which they can use, spend it on anything that supports them to travel actively or sustainably. So it could be a bus pass, a monthly, 3 monthly, whatever they can get for £100, or a rail ticket, national rail card, that sort of thing, or even buy a bike or something that helps them to walk more, walking shoes, a jacket, scooter, e-scooter. It wouldn't go very far, but it's a contribution. So they'll be able to do that. Also, one of the things that we haven't yet done, but annual development updates. So we can tell people every year, this is what to expect on site the coming year. And the measures are potentially of wider benefits. So the car club vehicles, they'll be located within the development. But if local people wanted to use them, that would be possible, I believe. We haven't fully started the procurement on that, but we are in the process of doing that. Of course, the bus service extension will be really beneficial because it will link up the 2 railway stations and travel from the south. So it could link people to local employment sites as well. And there are other off-site measures agreed in the original section 106, such as off-site cycle parking and so on. We've also got a new Sustrans Communities and Workplaces officer who's just started only about a month ago, but we're hoping to come up for a site visit sometime in August, her and myself and another colleague. So we will all get a really good sight of what it's like to be on the ground on the development site, obviously with some support. And the little logo on the right is something that's our team isn't doing, but it's part of the Future Travel Zone work. A Breeze app, which is actually called Mobility as a Service, which means probably nothing to you, but it just means that you can use your phone, plan your journey, but you can also buy the tickets and keep them on the app, so then you can show them when you're traveling. So it's something that's going to be launched, I think, late summer. So of course that sort of news will be included in any newsletters that we do. But I've got a snail there because there were some delays during this process. Out the appointment of Hampshire Services travel planning team to act as travel plan coordinator, coordinator was a bit delayed. The contract is almost signed now, but that's been a while. We're still waiting. We have had an interim payment though to keep us going, in the meantime. And the pandemic, of course, delayed a lot of things. So first, the build out slowed, but actually I think it seemed to pick up quite well. Monitoring, again, delayed. A lot of the travel plan measures have been delayed in the extension of the bus service, and we were not really we weren't encouraged to promote shared transport, so public transport and lift sharing, but we can sort of start doing that now. And of course that meant we missed some triggers, but all the way through, the subgroup continued to meet. So we made plans. We talked about what we could do, those sorts of things. So that's the end of my presentation. Black hole. We've gone into a black hole. I have to close that down.
We don't want that, do we? Thanks very much, Amanda. Councillors, do we have any members? Sorry, do you have any questions? First hand up I saw was Councillor Woodward.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. Thank you for the interesting presentation, Amanda. I might have said somewhat mischievously, if I had moved in to the development to the north of Whiteley, can I have my £100 and I might buy half a tank of petrol, given that there's no yes. full bus service. And that's the only question really is about the buses. Can you tell us exactly what is going to happen and when? I've had a number of residents from existing Whiteley contacting me, the residents I represent, wanting to know what improvements are going to happen and when. Now, we have been given various plans and proposals before with various triggers, so I just wonder what is happening. A written answer will suffice if you haven't got all the detail to hand, but what's happening, when is it happening, why is the Sweet Hills bus loop being deleted? Is there people that live in Sweet Hills Crescent that would rather like to catch the bus? The rubbish service at the moment, at least it goes down that, but the new one won't. So I'd just like to learn more about buses, please.
I don't think Emily's here today, and I know she's provided a short statement that I could read, but I don't know about the Sweet Hill thing. And what I'd probably do is maybe get Emily to come back on all of that, because it is up in the air. So at the moment, the bus service start is being delayed due to legal issues around the ownership of the bus shelters, although Whiteley Town Council agrees in principle to own the shelters pending a boundary review by Winchester City Council, which may be some time, I think, might be in the autumn, I'm not sure. Whiteley Town Council would like to liaise with the consortium on shelter positioning. So that's the final shelters. But in the meantime, the consortium is looking into installing temporary bus stops. So the bus stops, once the bus stops can go in, the temporary ones, then it sounds like they don't want to register. First, won't register a route until route extension, until that is all tidied up. So I think probably Emily would be the best person to actually provide the update, because she's closer to the buses. But it is difficult because you can't promote the buses until that's been agreed.
So, sorry, Councillor Woodward, can I just ask, is it possible to have a temporary bus stop to start the bus service?
Of course it is.
Yes, it is. But I think it's partly, I think it might be, it's a shame Emily can't be here because she's closer to the subject, but I think it's because it's about the ownership, the principle of the ownership, and that has to be agreed. And I think that's reliant on the boundary review, because if the boundary is reviewed, then that's North Whiteley. Well, that's my understanding. So I think it's a shame Emily can't be here, but yeah.
One would have thought, Chairman, that it can't be beyond the wit of Winchester City Council to own some bus shelters with a view to giving them to a parish council at some later date, or even to stick up some temporary bus marker posts. I'm sure people would happily bring an umbrella if there was a good bus service, and they could stand without a bus shelter. But to think that it's being held up by an argument over bus shelter ownership beggars belief.
Yeah. Okay, I think we need to look at this one.
I think it's
rather urgently.
Sorry, I think the principle on that Whiteley Town Council would own the bus shelters. It's just about the boundary review, isn't it, and the timing of that, as far as I'm concerned. That's holding it up, because that hasn't happened yet. That part hasn't happened.
And that's not going to happen for 2 more years.
Is it not 2? Oh, I thought. Well, that's not what I heard.
So we can't wait. We can't wait 2 more years.
Chair, if I could provide some assistance briefly on this.
Sure.
Yes, I mean that the governance issue is precisely the problem, because Winchester City Council only owns bus shelters in the city, seem to have an aversion to rural bus shelters. I don't know why that. I think there's historic reasons for that. The town council can't take on bus shelters outside its parish. And the problem is, of course, that at the moment, a large part of North Whiteley is in Curdridge, not in Whiteley. Curdridge doesn't want the bus shelters because it doesn't want the long-term ownership, as it were. And Whiteley can't take them on. So we are stuck. Hampshire is attempting to broker a route through where it will hold them temporarily. And I know Emily and colleagues are working hard on it because we really want these buses up and running PDQ. And we've got the routes and we've got, much of it. The routes may not be perfect, as Councillor Woodward says, and there are financial constraints on that. There is an element of also the developer has exacerbated this because it has effectively built houses, sold houses, without telling people they will have a bus shelter in front of it, and has now therefore got an issue. Ultimately, that problem is a developer issue, and the developer must sort that out. And if the developer is required to pay money because it's sold properties and not told people that there are issues or some such, then I'm afraid it's the one that should be putting his hand in his pockets. But what we mustn't have anymore is any more prevarication on this. We need to get the solution, get the buses running ASAP. Yep. Sorry, I hope that helped as a quick update.
It does. I think we need to take this outside the meeting and put some pressure somewhere. Yeah, between us.
I agree entirely. Oh, Councillor Todd has appeared today.
Chairman, as I was finishing my question off, I still want to know what are the improvements to the bus service which will be happening with or without bus shelters?
Amanda.
Gone silent.
Yes, I can't see the map in front of me where it finishes, but it will extend and it will go past Swanwick Station. It will come through the development site. Again, off the top of my head, I can't tell you because it's one way or the other up the site. But and it's supposed to turn. It was supposed to go up towards Botley, but I'm not sure if it's turning towards the top in the interim. But I think it's meant to go quite close to Botley Station.
Initially, no, it will start in the high street in Botley, and you will have to walk to the station. It's about a 10-15 minute walk from the drop off point.
Yeah, I thought so because it seemed like it. Yeah, you'd have to walk the last bit, which I was concerned about, and did raise. I wanted to make sure that there was something suitable for people to walk on the last bit. So.
I believe it does. It meant to eventually extend to Hedge End shops. Is that correct?
Yes, it does in phase 4, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's quite a late phase. The important point is that the 1 is it will get you to Botley in time for your walk to the station, but actually the stop-off time in terms of when the buses stop running in the evening is I feel too early, and we need to get on to phase 2, which at the rate we're going will be on to phase 2 or phase 3 before we know it, because the relevant levels have been passed without
these delays. Yeah,
exactly. But then it will be much more of a slightly later in the evening, and therefore people can get back from Botley Station. Returning from work.
Does that help, Councillor Woodward?
Not really, no. I think it'll be useful. Sorry, I don't mean to you. It would just be useful to have, I think, up-to-date dates and times of buses. What's going to be happening? When's it going to be happening? And stick in some marker posts, for temporary bus stops. But please, let's get it done.
Okay, thank you. I think Councillor Todd would like to
Yes, just a quickie. Is there any reason why there can't be a bus stop at King's Corner?
Sorry, Eric. We've got Councillor Todd would like to say something.
Yes. So thank you for the chance to comment. I'm amongst other things, the cabinet member for asset management. Just to say that if there is anything that the city council can do to resolve the bus stop issue, then I'm sure we will do what we can. I am really surprised that there isn't an option of something like a temporary bus stop, because I've seen them in other places and I don't understand why it can't happen here. So obviously, if there's some way of solving the problem which doesn't involve buying a bus stop, then we'll be happy to make that happen as well. But the offer is there. If the city council can do something to unblock this, we will do this. But don't want to make things more complicated. Just want to get a fix in.
Sorry, if it wasn't clear, they are hoping to put the temporary bus stops in. As soon as they've gone in, I think then, but that's the sort of, it's like chicken and egg, isn't it?
Well, if there is anything the city council can do in the meantime in order to resolve the bus stop issue and help get the buses running, I'm very passionate about public transport and sustainable transport generally, and I will have whatever conversations are needed at the city council to unblock things.
I will make sure. Sorry, I'll make sure that Emily knows. Sorry,
okay. No, it's no problem. And possibly at the county council as well, because I'm also a county councillor on the transport committee. So if there's a way of unblocking it there, I'll do that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Todd. Okay, thank you, Councillor Woodward. Now we've got Councillor Bodger.
Right, just wanted to say that you don't have to take the bus all the way into Botley and have people walk back to the station. The road is wide enough at King's Corner to add a bus stop there.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Did you get that, Amanda?
I've made a note there of that.
Great.
I don't know, because I think they would have planned where the bus stops would be during the development, but I will also let Emily know about that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mike Evans.
Thanks, Chair. The other point I just want to raise with the problems with the buses, and Amanda had it on her slide, is the fact that we've raised it with Hampshire. At the moment, the buses aren't going anywhere near the hospital. And we've asked them if they will look at that, because we've had quite a few people in North Whiteley say, how do we get to the community hospital and how do we get to QA hospital? So I think Amanda's aware that Emily has been looking at that as well, because it's quite clear that they're not going anywhere near them. And there are a lot of people in North Whiteley who haven't got any transport.
We did talk about the journey planner, didn't we, and how you could use that it would show you the options to how to get there, but it's often mixed modes, which isn't always that convenient.
So, Amanda, are the county council looking at extending the service to the hospital?
No, the 28 service wouldn't go to the hospital. Because, the hospital that Councillor Evans was talking about was QA, which is in Portsmouth, which apparently is one of the main.
I think he means the community hospital.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the point, can I come in here, Chair?
Sure.
The issue is here that a lot of them have raised the question, how do we get to the community hospital? That raises another question. If they have to get to QA hospital, they then have to catch a bus or get to Loxheath to get a bus to QA. And we have raised that with Hampshire County Council, and Emily is looking into that, and I'm waiting for her to come back.
Okay, I think Amanda's got that in hand.
No, Amanda and Emily in specifically was looking at the bus routes.
Okay.
And so it is in hand, and they are aware of it, and they're looking what they can do.
Right, thank you very much. Councillor Pearson.
Thank you, Chair. I want to express my disgust at the shambles over this. I can't believe it. It seems at present we've got a bus route that doesn't go where people want to go. One presumes that Botley High Street is one location. Of course it is. The community hospital definitely another one. But also commuters will, a fair number, I don't know the numbers, school travel or travel people may know better than I, will want to go to Botley Station to commute either up to Winchester, Reading or beyond. And the bus service, as it exists, we've either got to change it or bang a few heads together, because it's just, if we're trying to get people out of their cars into buses, this is just not going to do it. And let's face it, it's, you know, you're talking about existing route, which clearly, from what we've said, what Mike Evans has said quite rightly, and what Councillor Woodward has said quite rightly, is just not going to solve the issue. So come on, guys, get together and deal with it. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. I think we're going to be on the case after this meeting. Don't worry. Councillor Lumby, you've got your hand up.
Chair, with respect, somebody should have been on top of this a long time ago.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, Councillor McLean is quite right, as is Councillor Pearson. This is something that people have been working on for a long time, and there have been issues. And we are where we are, and we need to go forward effectively and quickly. But I want to subtly change the subject very quickly.
Okay.
Quick question for Amanda, because I know she's not here to talk about buses. And I think Councillor
I do like buses.
They're very nice. They're very nice. Just a small question. Actually, it was one that Councillor Todd and I were talking about in a county transport meeting this morning, which is, you mentioned car clubs and the encouragement of those. Is there to be any encouragement of electric cars within car clubs? Because of course these are more carbon neutral, and B, often because of the price point of entry beyond the means, or practical use of many, because they don't have charging points.
So I think that's sort of quite key, because you can set up a car club with a sort of lines on the road that doesn't require you to have the infrastructure underneath the ground. I'm not technical or anything, but to put the electric charging point in, and it's always static in that location. And obviously it's probably more expensive, but yes, we have an electric car. We went to France last week. It was amazing, because as long as you know where you can find charging points, it's the first time we've gone away, you can get charged up, you can move on. It was great. So I completely agree with you. And we probably would, ideally, my idea was that we would have electric vehicles. Then we're talking about where they go on the road and what happens when you want to increase them. The electric charging point is a static thing. But yes, I mean, we haven't gone out to procurement yet. So I think we should factor that in. But it might affect how much it costs, or it might be more difficult to put in. And perhaps it's better to have people getting used to just car clubs themselves, and then feeding in, we would find out where the better locations were for them to be located if we were going to have electric vehicle charging points. So, it's just sort of, it's difficult, because obviously we need.
Yes,
yeah.
And that's good. You're thinking about it. It's on the radar. That's really all I wanted to hear. So thank you very much. Thank you.
I've got one more question for Councillor Bodger.
Yes, just on the subject of charging points on the road, both Camden and Westminster have got charging points tucked into the lamp posts. So as the lights are going up in North Whiteley, that might be an opportunity to run the same electricity to the charging point and to the lights.
Yeah, we have those in Portsmouth where I live. So yeah, familiar with those.
They also exist in Eastleigh and Winchester as well.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
Hampshire have them in Eastleigh and Winchester. But they're working with the local authorities on both those. So they are very much, I think, we have a partner.
Okay. Any further questions for Amanda? Okay, thank you, Amanda. I think I'll be in touch with you and Emily shortly.
Yes, of course.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome to stay on.
I might leave because I'm really hungry.
Okay.
It's been really interesting though. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Good night. Members, we are now on to this might have answered some earlier questions. This is now question 11 regarding bus services. Can I hand over to Hilary Oliver, please?
Hi, it is a very short statement and most of it has been covered. So the planned service start date was delayed due to legal issues surrounding ownership of the bus shelters. Whiteley Town Council agrees in principle to own the shelters pending a boundary review by Winchester City Council. However, Whiteley Town Council would like to liaise with the consortium on shelter positioning. The consortium is looking into installing temporary bus stops in the interim. The HCC local bus team is awaiting the outcome of the above prior to registration of the route. So most of the points have been covered. So
yeah,
that was the statement. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Any more further questions? I do believe we've covered most of that. Okay. Thank you, members. We're now on to item number 12, Developer and Implementation Officer Update. Now, I'm going to hand over to Jeff Davies of Tetra Tech. Jeff, are you with us?
I am, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Hi, Jeff.
I've got a little presentation. Matthew, are you going to put it up or shall I? I have it. I can share it from here.
I'm just poised to share it, Jeff, if that's okay.
That's fine. Okay, kick off. A briefing note for bringing you up to date from the last time we met 6 months ago. Next slide, please, Matthew. You'll have seen this before. This is just a brief overview. We've all been talking about the various roads this evening. You received update from Patrick Bingham earlier on about the offsite works that Hampshire are doing. I'll touch on the rest of it as we go through. Next slide, please, Matthew. As you know, what we call phase 1 was completed and open to traffic last year in the middle of February. Next slide, please, Matthew. What follows a couple of slides taken from the most recent drone overflight, which I try and annotate to help add some sense to it. You'll notice on these slides I've started putting in an additional key plan because I was raised that it's hard to work out exactly where these pictures are just from my notes and so on. This is in the middle of Bluebell Way. We're looking at Cornerstone School towards the top of the picture. Various developments going on at the moment. The one with all the houses there, the Vistry development, has been fully occupied for a while now. Next slide, please, Matthew. And this is a view sort of central on Bluebell Way, Cornerstone Primary School to the left. The most recent development is that Persimmon have started work on their land parcels just towards the right of that particular picture. Again, the large development in the middle is fully occupied. I introduced a particular slide to look at the issue that was discussed earlier to do with the footpath cycleway beside the school. There's been a little bit of a saga with this. This is basically a list of broadly where we are. We do have planning permission, was granted in January this year. We had gained technical approval on the design, and we'd started working on the Section 278 legal agreement with Hampshire Legal Services, because we can't actually do any work on this path until we have a legal agreement in place. In fact, we had already had a works contract sort of tendered spring this year and lined up, ready to have done the work by now. Unfortunately, there was a setback. There was a design clash with one of the neighbouring developments, a level clash, not next to the school, but further along Taylor Wimpey, sort of just behind the school. It's an internal problem which we've had to resolve, but that has meant that we've had to sort of resubmit our design to Hampshire for technical approval, get that updated. We're just going through that process at the moment. It is possible, because of the tweaks that we've done, that we'll have to revisit planning permission. We're not sure yet whether that will be a non-material amendment or have to revisit the full permission, hopefully the former. I put down at the bottom that I'm hoping I'm being pessimistic about this. We want to build this as soon as possible. Everybody wants to build it as soon as possible. We're amongst that group of people, but I have to sort of suggest, and that it might be in spring, simply because of my experience of getting legal agreements in place. It can take quite a long time. Shouldn't take anything as long as it took for our off-site Whiteley Way works, which are the order of 2.5 years. But I'm hoping that will come through reasonably quickly, because there's a great deal of will behind it, and therefore we can start that much sooner. But we want to deliver this. That's the message I'd like to convey. Next slide, please, Matthew. Just briefly touching upon the off-site Whiteley Way works. I've been reporting to this forum and other forums for a very long time about how we've struggled to get our Section 278 legal agreements in place. Well, the good news is, I appear to have misspelt the word, but it was they were completed at the end of last month. So that is the key in the door to be able to move forward. We have tenders to hand. The recommendations have gone to our clients. We're hoping to get a decision at the end of this month to be able to let a contract and move forward. But I have to say that the process of getting to start work is not that straightforward. These are major works, so there is a minimum of 3-month process to get a permit to work on the roads. We've also got to agree all the traffic management procedures with Whiteley Co-ownership, who look after the retail centre. What that really means is that by the time we get through that process, we're going to be into the sort of start of the traffic management embargoes that cut in the area of the Christmas and the New Year period. So effectively, we're hoping that we'll be able to make a certain amount of a start before that by working off highway, just as we did on the embankment works that were done, finished now over a year, almost a year and a half ago. But that we may not be able to. So effectively, we're going to start in the middle of January when all the embargoes are finished. And that will sort of take us to a likely completion sort of spring 2024, looking at the programs that we have. Next slide, please, Matthew. So looking at what we call phase 3, which is basically the road all the way, road and the cycleway all the way from Station Hill Junction right down to roundabout 3. The headlines there are that we've finished the roads in the north of within the site. We've almost finished the Botley Way cycleway. I think we're getting into the last knockings of that now, and it's been difficult to get permits to work on the highway up there, but I believe that's now almost resolved. We finished the access roads coming in from the south, and the roads in blue are almost complete. We expect to finish the Curbridge Way road in September, and the last link, the green section on that plan, is that those works started in the spring and they're well underway now, so they should be finished by the end of this year. Next slide, please, Matthew. There's some photographs basically sort of flying down from the north to the south. Just looking at the Vistry development up in the north. Just see Bridge 1 there. Moving on down, you start to see the construction I've just mentioned in the distance. Curbridge Way on the right, and Whiteley Way on the left. Again, we're looking to the south. Moment. Slide, please, Matthew. And that's a close-up on the works I just mentioned. The green section, Whiteley Way Central, which is well underway now, as you can see. Next slide, please, Matthew. And again, turning around and standing down at the bottom side and looking to the north, you can see the two construction contracts, the distance there, again, fairly well underway. Next slide, please, Matthew. And this one is a close-up on the last of the major bridges, Bridge 2. Sees the stream there, fairly close to completion, as you can see. We've started to lay the road construction on top of it. Next slide, please, Matthew. And again, this finishing up really with a view to the south down at looking through Sawpit Copse and on towards the retail centre, where you can just see in the distance the sort of where it's all greened up, the works that we did. I mentioned before that finished a year and a half ago, building the embankment works. It's topsoil and that was placed down there, so it's all greened up. The distance. Next slide, please, Matthew. A very brief update. I know Hilary touches upon this in her report. So in terms of detailed planning permission for houses, we're standing at 2,112. So that's well over the half of the 3,500 total. 1,348 houses have started. 843 houses now sort of finished. We've occupied 620 at the last count I did. Next slide, please. Matthew. This is just a very, I'll expand on this a bit more, I think, on the next forum on landscaping. It's just a brief update. We're not doing very much at the moment in the summertime, but we have let contracts. We have gained the detailed planning permission for all of the works. We haven't been able, we've only been able to do a sort of fairly limited works so far, but we're going to sort of start in earnest and get into the planting season proper later this year. I think that concludes this presentation. I think, Matthew, did you want to run the video? A lot of it is, I take stills from the video, but it's available. This presentation has been sent to Matthew, so obviously that will form part of the papers go with the meeting.
I'll just start the video now, Jeff.
Oh yes, please. Well, it doesn't. I think Councillor Rockwell asked me whether there's some way of putting a kind of a voice overview or sort of written overview with it. That's basically why I do my stills with all the labels on them. But I'll see if there's some way of doing that. It does come with a little sort of track in the top left corner, which sort of aims to show. I think you're at 42 seconds there, Martin. Matthew, I noticed.
Well,
we're not going from the very beginning. It lasts just over 2 minutes, I think, or just under 2 minutes. Is it? Are you running it off a server?
It's running on my laptop, but I can see that it's not pulling through onto the.
Could try mine. I could switch. I have got it here. I have it on my hard drive because I know if I try and run it off the server, it gets stuck and buffers.
Okay, let me.
Would you like me to try? I've just.
Yeah, let me pause this.
Just share my screen now, and hoping you can see my screen.
Yeah, certainly
can you see it? Let's just try this.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Again, we're starting in the north of the site, flying to the south down Whiteley Way with the Vistry developments. Turning around and looking back towards Vistry in the north, and that's Curbridge Way underneath us. The construction of Whiteley Way just emerging there, the linking section. And looking back down towards Curbridge Way, or the Vistry development in the north. That's one of the persimmon sites that comes off Curbridge Way. And this is focusing on the Western Access Junction, Bluebell Way, flying to the south again over the development of Foreman Homes has started work. Completed Vistry development beneath us. So again, flying Bluebell Way again, flying down towards the Cornerstone School, just coming underneath us now. Down towards the persimmon development that started up on Bluebell Way. Panning across towards Whiteley Way, Whiteley Gardens, and the Taylor MP development, Woodlands Chase, Saltwick Copse on the right. And looking over from Bluebell Way towards Whiteley Way. Whiteley Gardens just there, Woodlands Chase. And now we're looking north back towards the main construction. That's Bridge 2. That was taken a couple of weeks before my photograph. Looking towards Curbridge Way on the left and Whiteley Way on the right. Oops. Don't want to hear that twice.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you for the update. Do you have any? Sorry, just let me check. Yes, we have Councillor Mike Evans would like to ask a question.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for your presentation. A couple of points. Jeff, can we go back to the plan you showed of the works from the roundabout R1 down to R3?
Yeah, I can share my screen, Matthew, a bit quicker.
You must probably know the question I'm going to ask you.
I never like to anticipate until I've actually heard it. I think
That's it.
That's the one. Yeah.
You know what I'm interested in, Jeff, and the council is interested in the agreement we have with the consortium. I'd like to know the position on, does that work, all that work include that work at R1A, which, as you know, has been a bottleneck in Whiteley with traffic trying to turn right. Does that include R1A being completed?
Absolutely.
And the traffic light. Okay.
We're kicking off from where Hampshire and Milestone have finished off, and they've put the cones in and they're feathering back into the road. So from where they finished that construction, we continue. The bad news is that means there's going to be more traffic management and cones and so on. But that's where we start, which is just below my cursor on this particular plan. Includes the new signal junction at R1A, and then the improvements all the way down, new signal junction at R2A as well, right down to R3. So yes, all of that.
Okay. I mean, because, you know, our concern has always been R1A, because that's been the problem area in Whiteley for many years, where all the accidents have happened. I know we've got Bluebell Way to get out of another route out of Whiteley now, but I think that's obviously a very important one, particularly with people turning right there and allowing them at night to turn right as well and go through Bluebell Way. So I'm encouraged by that. Thanks, Jeff. The second one is the I'd like to raise is the thorny question of the open space agreement. Where do we stand on the consortium? Jeff, we signed this at the behest of the consortium nearly 2 years ago. The consortium, through you, have told us that they have agreed this. We cannot move to continue our negotiations with Hampshire County Council to take on the green infrastructure until this is signed. So it is a stumbling block for us, and I just wondered if you've got any update.
Well, I can advise you that the...
Yeah, I've got my name down for a statement. But...
Sorry, Councillor Evans, can you just put your mic on? Thank you. Sorry, Jeff.
The agreement stands. I think we're trying to get it signed off by the 4 members of the consortium. 2 have signed, and 1, I think, has come back and asked some questions, which I'm just trying to get resolved. It's frustrating, Mike, because like you, I've been sort of at the sharp end of this, trying to get this completed, and we were held up for, well, quite a long time, as you know, and trying to kind of resolve an issue of whether the agreement should be split into two parts. That was resolved. That was the major sticking issue, and now I'm just trying to get it across the line.
Okay.
I have found that I don't know why on this job, but getting legal agreements resolved is taken forever. It's hard to put your finger on why when you sort of look backwards and think, you know. But it's we're not far away, and there's one final push, which I think falls down to me to try and work out what the issue is and whether I can just make sure I've got an answer to allow someone. I think it's possibly Persimmon who've asked some questions because they're relatively new, but the questions I don't think are that hard to answer. So I need to focus on it again, because an awful lot of my time in the recent weeks and months has been focused on what's on your screen now and trying to get those legal agreements, because they're absolutely crucial for everybody. They are now completed. We are moving on. But I could definitely fall back to try and resolve some of the other nitty-gritty items, of which this is one. Was exactly the same as you. We want to be able to, move on, deliver open spaces, and know that they're going to be able to move smoothly onto maintenance in due course.
Yeah, Jeff, I understand it's nothing against you personally. I know they've been dragging their feet, and there have been changes of senior management in the consortium, but I appreciate all you're doing on that, and I know you've dedicated a lot of time, so thank you for your help, but I am grateful that you're still pursuing it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. We have the other Councillor Evans, Councillor Therese Evans.
Thank you. I wonder if we could find a way of distinguishing between Mike Evans and myself.
Would be helpful, yes.
But, you hear Councillor Evans and you think, oh, I didn't ask a question. It's been a very interesting evening, but I feel I've got information overload here. I hope the minutes are going to be very full and have all the points on. It would be helpful if we, from all the verbal updates, if we'd had the names of the people who are giving the information, but perhaps that will come out in the minutes. In the paper, the map at the end and the drone was very useful, but what was the point of all the pages before that in absolutely minute print, and even with a what do I mean? A magnifying glass, I couldn't read it properly. So, at the expense of a few sheets of paper, or whatever, perhaps it could have been printed larger. I have to go now. I'm sorry, because my commitment was at 8 o'clock, and I have to fulfil that. So thank you to everybody, and I hope you'll take my points on board.
Okay, maybe we could use Trez until Mike. That might be easier. Thanks, Trez. Councillor Lumby.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jeff, for the report. Actually, I would like to slightly say something different to Councillor Therese Evans. I thought that section with the 106 and the analysis was really useful in the paper. And actually, if you look at it on screen rather than printing it, you can actually zoom in, which is a very effective way of being able to see small print without a magnifying glass. So that's all to one side. Jeff, two quick questions for you. Very happy for you to come back on the both. One trailed earlier on the footpath beside Cornerstone School, running down off towards Whiteley. Clearly major access route in the school. Do you know anything on the timing of when that will be done? It's quite a major safety issue for kids coming in. So the sooner that could be done, clearly the better. So that's question one. Do you want to answer that one, and then I'll?
Yeah, I touched upon it in my presentation, which I'll just
yes, you did.
Bring up the slide again. So
apologies, my new puppy arrived literally during your presentation. She's lying on the floor beside me, and I'm quite concerned she may pee, but never mind about that.
Some things take precedence.
Sorry, yeah, she won.
What I was trying to explain to everybody was the sort of how do we get here, and because it's a thorn in our side as well. We don't want to be sitting here looking like we're just not delivering a path. So the short answer is as soon as possible. Basically, what I was trying to sort of set out was that we can't just go and do it. We have had a problem of our own making, a design clash with a neighbouring development. There was an issue. Our design went in first and development came in later, but there was a mismatch between the two levels. So we've had to sort of design a kind of additional sort of retaining structure to hold up a short section of this path. That has meant that we've had to resubmit our design for technical approval, or get the technical approval that we have updated to suit. What that tends to mean is the legal agreement that we absolutely have to have a Section 278 legal agreement because it's an existing right of way. We have to have a 278 agreement to be able to do anything on it. So we have to have that in place. That's because we're going through the design approval process. That tends to slow it down until that's finished. But the good news, I think, is that is almost through the process. But because we've tweaked the design, that means that the planning permission that we have is affected. We're not sure how much, whether it'll just be a non-material amendment or a bit more than that. But that would run in parallel with the Section 278 legal agreement. We had this all tendered and ready to go. So we'll have to obviously get a new price for it. And prices have gone up, no doubt, with everything else that's gone up. But I'm trying to say yes as soon as possible. As soon as we're able to, we're going to crack on with it. But I'm having to put down sort of, managing expectations. I'd like to come to the next forum and say it's underway. But in my experience of getting legal agreements, which I've mentioned earlier in this meeting, it could take longer. I hope not. There's everybody wants it to be done. There aren't the issues. There aren't the third-party issues that we've had elsewhere. It should come through fairly quickly, I hope. everything's in place to do that. So it's nice to think we're not going to get it delivered, I think, for start of the school in September or anything like that. But it'd be nice to think we'd be able to get on with it, in the autumn, at a suitable point when it's safe to do so, given the traffic that's going on around there. So
yeah, no, that's important. And if it was possible to start that end ahead of other bits, I think that would be.
We would. We have discussed, and many people have asked us, why can't we go and deliver that first sort of 50 meters or something, or up to where the gates are that we've talked about earlier, during Martin Shepherd's piece. And that was exactly what we would do. We would try and get out of the hair of everybody else by delivering this, so that we remove the issue. The rest of it is not as important as that section where the gates are.
Absolutely. So are there any blocks, HCC or WCC that we can, the assembled mass can help?
I don't think there's any blocks. I think we just as normal process. I think the last update, I sit down and meet Ray and his colleagues once a month, and I think they were waiting for a comment from asset management side of things regarding the Gabion wall that we proposed to as the new feature, but that's part of normal process, so it may already be resolved by now. That was just last week. So
already, thank you, and thank you for reiterating that. Apologies that I clearly
okay.
It's a crucial moment. This is a bit out of the room. So I'm going to ask my second question, and I'm hoping you're going to say I covered that too. Last call, you kindly undertook to look at litter clearance and rubbish clearance from the site and keeping the wider area clear. I wondered whether there was any progress or update on that, or is that something you would like to come back on?
I probably need to just come back on exactly what it looks like at the moment. I was down there last week, and I have to admit, there's always a little bit of a problem. It didn't look too bad to me, but I was sort of flying in and out. We certainly know we had a bit of an issue up at the Western Access Junction, and sort of cleared all that, but it tends to gather again. So if I'm not down on site that much these days, I'll raise it with my colleagues just to ask them to go and have a look.
It'll be great.
We will be looking, because we've got to go down there. We've got a lot of bit of a weed problem that's developed on some of the verges down there.
That sort of weed. Okay.
So we need to go out and sort of deal with that anyway, and that's going to tend to sort of pick up on the other issues as we go.
I think the litter problem has improved a lot.
I think it's better. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's better.
It is better. Yeah, definitely better.
I would agree, Chair. That's where I am. I think what it needs is somebody with point of responsibility to check on an ongoing basis to ensure it's done, and then deal with issues, whether that's once.
Yeah, I drive down there on a daily basis, so.
Then you're
don't worry,
appointed.
I've got my
there
eye
you go. Put it on the CV.
That'd
Brilliant.
Be too
Thank
long.
you. Those are my questions. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Has anyone any further questions? Okay, Jeff, thank you very much for the update, and we look forward to your next one.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think I will retire from the meeting if you don't mind.
Yep, no problem at all.
Like Amanda, my stomach is rumbling. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
At least she's smiling.
Yeah.
Hi, Councillor Axel. It's Matthew. Are you there, or have we lost you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, just drops out for a second. Sorry, Hilary. Would you like to give your update, please?
Hi. There's nothing particular that I wanted to raise about the report. So I'm quite happy just to leave it as it is and ask if anybody wants to ask any questions about what was contained in the report.
Okay.
What report are you talking about?
This is Hillary's report regarding the current development, play areas. It came in the minutes.
The latest update with all the appendices. Was there anything anybody had questions about?
I just had one regarding the parks, the play areas. Are we get any further in opening any up yet?
Well, play area 3 in the north is being used by residents, is still under the control of Vistry, however. Right. Play area 2 is just having its safety audit done, which will be accessed off from Bluebell Way. But I'm not sure it's going to be, but there would also be access off of footpath 2. But at the moment it's shut off because it hasn't had its safety audit, but it's actually been completed.
Right.
We have the planning application for play area 1 near the Taylor Wimpey development in the very south. So that's in for determination. And then the further ones, 4 and 5, will come along with those planning applications.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I had one more, sorry. 2.44, the travel plan. We're meant to have a travel plan coordinator. Do we know when that role is going to be filled?
Well, that's Amanda.
That's Amanda, sorry.
That's Amanda, yeah.
Right,
so what's happened with it, it was the 106 aimed for it to be an external organisation provided those services, and we're actually doing a deed of variation, and Hampshire County Council are taking over all of the travel plan coordinator role. So that's Amanda. Okay. That's what's Amanda's. Right. That's why she was here doing the presentation. And I just obviously wanted to mention the work is beginning on Hangman's Cop and Sawpit Cops to do the pathways in there, which hopefully will then give access to the residents to those areas.
Right. Great. Thank you very much. Councillor Lumbie, you got a hand up? Is that for?
Yeah, just very quickly. No question. Just wanted to reiterate. I thought the report was very helpful, particularly the 106 tracker. Please, we have that again. It's brilliant. And secondly, just say thank you for all your efforts. Very much appreciated. So thank you very much. And that was it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lumbie.
Before I go, Councillor Ackwell, could I just transfer you over to Julie? She's got something.
Of course. Yes, Julie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. With your permission, I know earlier on in the evening we had to move on from item 7. We were expecting Karen Vincent to join us, weren't we, to give a governance review, to give a verbal update. Well, we have since heard, I'm afraid, Chair, that Karen has suffered a bereavement in her family. We don't know any details, I'm afraid, but obviously she sends her apologies that she can't join us tonight. Obviously, in the meantime, what I'd been looking through is I'd looked back at the minutes from the last meeting, and Karen did give an overview there, didn't she? And she had advised that there was a paper being prepared for Licensing and Regulation Committee for March 2020, and that's happened. And one of the actions from that was a letter that was circulated to residents, and I think ward members know that has gone out. And there will be some community engagement. So I suppose what we would like to offer is, obviously once we know how Karen is fixed and how things move on, we will ask her to give a written report to members of this meeting. And we would like to just apologise if anyone was here. Obviously, that's an important matter for this meeting, which is why we'd put it on this first meeting of the year. But if anyone's attended specifically for that or got any questions, please email me and I can take them away and liaise with Karen about how we respond to that. So apologies to members, but, for obviously understandable reasons. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julie. Thank you. Councillor Bodger.
Yes, I think that I'd like to get some stuff on the minutes of this meeting rather than wait until the next meeting, because we've got some real concerns about the way the governance review is being conducted. There was a meeting that didn't turn into a meeting, which was supposed to select the people from North Whiteley who were participating. None of them turned up. Not sure why. Possibly because it was on Teams. There was going to be another meeting before the end of June, at which they will be invited. We know that the consultation is live, which is great. However, it closes by the end of this month, and so far as we know, none of the residents of Curdridge, Whiteley or North Whiteley has been contacted to ask them to put in their views. However, a few of us have done, and we discovered that it doesn't collect your postcode. So somebody could write in from China and vote for one thing or another. It doesn't seem to have any way of checking for multiple votes. Now, it's quite reasonable that two people on the same IP address would report, but if you get 75 responses from the same IP address, I would suggest you throw away the first 73 of them. We need some sort of security to make sure that the consultation feedback is valid, not generated by some sort of St. Petersburg robot. We need longer for the consultation to run because of the fact that nobody's been told about it. And I find it very distressing that we were working to a deadline in the hope of getting something going next year. Well, it's clear we're not going to. If the whole thing is going to wait until April 2024, then we don't have to rush through this governance review. We could do it properly. Now, I appreciate that Karen's problems may not have started today, and she has spent quite a lot of time away. And when she's been there, she's been extremely helpful. But we do have these technical issues with the governance review, and I would like to get that on the minutes of the forum so that we don't simply lose another 4 months.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bodger. Councillor Evans.
Thanks,
Mike
Chair.
Evans.
Thanks, Chair. There's nothing more for me to say. I share Eric's concerns. Residents in North Whiteley, when we've raised with them, haven't received anything. We haven't met. I think there is a problem. It needs to be sorted. Unlike Eric, I understand that he thinks it should be delayed. The longer this is delayed, the more the more problems this creates for the way with things coming on, like issues that we were going to, the town council was going to take on, and the longer you leave it, the worse it's going to get and make more difficulties in trying to manage it and take on responsibility. So I think it needs looking at, and I know Martin Todd's was in on the meeting, and I think it has caused some. We are disappointed, and it needs to be sorted, Chair, as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Evans. Julie, I don't know if you have. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just clarify? When I said a delay, I meant a delay in closing the consultation, not a delay in getting the job done.
Yeah,
Okay.
Point taken, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think what we'll do for today, obviously send our apologies. We know this is an important issue locally, and obviously we want to see it resolved as much as the forum and all the local residents, both new and existing. So I think what we'll do is we'll take this away. We obviously need to talk to Karen. I'll talk to our director as well about this and sort of pick up on these issues that are being raised, and we'll make sure there's a briefing note that's ready before the next meeting. We won't leave it to roll over to there. I take your point about the consultation. I have looked on there myself, sort of looking ahead for another MDA that we're looking at, and I'm sure we can track the IP addresses, but we'll make sure and take that point away as well. And I think there's some important points here. We obviously need to talk to Karen about the detail, and she will have that information, so I can't sort of commit to anything else at this stage, Chair, but we're equally as committed to getting this moved forward, and I wouldn't want to see a delay in terms of the governance review beyond next year, Chair, because we need to get that moved forward, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that reassurance.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you both for raising that question. Sorry, just bear with me. Does anybody else have any further questions? I think we haven't got many people left in the meeting. So item number 13, future agenda items. I assume we need to bring the governance back onto this agenda. Does anybody else have any other items? Councillor Woodward, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. If I may bring back the old chestnut about medical facilities, well, now that the population of the new development is growing, of course, they have their own issues around seeing GPs. The Sovereign Group has clearly particular issues as well, and Whiteley surgery is one of those. And given that the next meeting of this group is quite a long way away, I'm guessing there'll be a lot more residents having moved in. It would be interesting to understand, maybe from the GPs this time, rather than wheeling in people from the NHS, perhaps from the GPs, how they are moving on, for example, clearing the upstairs at Whiteley surgery so more primary care can go on in the NHS primary care. I just think it might be helpful to have a GP update with the NHS if they want to come as well, just so we can see how the new arrangements are working. And of course, we have had various froth about car park extensions and things in the past, which from Fair and Borough Council's point of view, I can assure you there has still been no discussions, no debates, and the Borough Council as planning authority's position remains unchanged.
Okay. Right, I should put that one on the next agenda. Any other items, Councillor Lumby?
So thank you, Chair. I noticed that on section 7 of the minutes of the last meeting, page 12 of the version I have, it sets out 5 future agenda items. And I think that we have, well, we've heard on the M27 Junction 9 scheme, although I probably want to hear again. And we've heard on the from HEC Education. I do think we need to hear on the other 3 issues that were on the list, carry those forward.
Okay.
And I would bung buses in there as well.
Yeah, that's buses for sure. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Right, thank you very much. So item number 14, to note the future meetings. So our next meeting is on the 14th of November, again 6 o'clock, and following that 16th of February 2023, again 6 o'clock. So I'd just like to thank everyone for joining the meeting. I'm sorry it's been quite a long one today. Thanks for your patience. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair.
Thanks, Vivian. Good night.
Night, night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liv. That was great. Thank you.
Good night.
See you then, Eric. We'll have a chat tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Cheerio, Mike.
Cheers, Eric.